Kim and Aggie's mission to clean up Britain just got bigger. They're ready for the fight against rats.
They're so cheeky. They just come out, look at you, go back.
The ladies are pulling out all the stops to battle this filthy foe.
Through your campaign against rats.
Oh, I'm creeping out here.
Show you how to rat-proof your home.
Certainly big enough for a rat to get through, no problem.
And attempt to trap a rat.
Oh, he's in.
But just who'll have the last laugh? Kim Woodburn and Aggie MacKenzie are hitting the streets of East London as Tower Hamlets Council call them in to help their fight against Britain's biggest pest.
The whole of London, the whole of the country indeed, has a rat problem at the moment.
If you've got a wild rat in your home, it's almost certainly come from a drain, and it's going to carry any number of bacteria.
We've got more water than any other London borough. We have 2,300 restaurants and hot food takeaways. We have here an environment within which rats thrive.
And it's everyone's problem.
You can have rats in the most pleasant of houses. They can smell your food and they'll wander in.
But if anyone can help, it's the Queens of Clean.
We try to engage the residents across the borough. We work through the media. We've got all sorts of different ways of communicating with them, but basically we haven't harnessed the power of Kim and Aggie before now.
Well, we're up for anything we can do to help. Yeah? Let's do it.
Across Britain, rat numbers have risen by 39% in 7 years because of milder winters and increased protein in their diet. The rat population is now estimated to be 64 million in the UK. So the race is on, and rule number 1 when going into battle, know your enemy. But knowing Aggie's history with rodents...
The dead mouse! Ah! Looking like a tea bag.
Watch what you're doing because mice do gather in bread bins.
How will she cope coming face to face with rats?
Oh my God, I'm creeping out here.
There's a load gathered there in a very confined space. And the rat I found it, so they could
Imagine that in your house.
Family could live in your house.
You'd think.
Whoa.
Rats can have about 7 litters a year. A female's capable of giving birth to about 60 rats in a year.
Right.
Yeah, within about 4 months they can all be breeding, all the babies can be breeding.
Oh, heavens, they're nibbling the whole time, aren't they?
Their teeth grow continually all the time, about a third of a millimetre a day. Every year a rat's teeth will grow about 5 inches. They can get through substances like this. This is a lead pipe, so they can
Oh my God.
gnaw through that. They don't eat the lead, but they just use it to keep their teeth down.
So getting into a house is no problem for them, is it?
This is a brick that they've chewed as well, so...
Oh my God, you can almost see the teeth marks there, can't you?
I'm in, Ags, I'm in.
Is it locked securely?
Yeah, just crawling over my boot, this little one here. Don't chew my rubber boot.
Oh, look at the welly boot, Kim. Good Lord.
Oh, no trouble for this, is it?
That's scary,
That can
isn't
cause a lot
it?
of damage with fire if
Yeah.
they're chewing through your cable.
It's the tails that freak me out. They absolutely do. They just kind of encapsulate everything that's creepy about a rat.
The tails are long just to help them balance really and when they're running around. I mean, they spend most of their time on the ground, but they will run across rafters and things if they're in buildings.
Oh, I think I've had enough of them.
You looking at Agsy?
I don't think I could ever get used to them.
Aggie, for goodness sake. Such a coward in these matters.
Even tame rats carry germs, so any of their stray hairs are history after an air shower.
Hairspray.
But will the ladies' nerves be as rock solid when they hit the front line? Their quest for more rat facts takes them to meet one of Tower Hamlets' pest control team, who's taking them to a derelict building for a rat safari.
Rats are most active between 6 at night and 6 in the morning. But you need to be careful, obviously, broken glass, etc. Looking through here, over here we've got all this cracked and broken paving slabs, and just here we've got some rat droppings.
Is that rat droppings? They're huge, aren't they?
I mean, they're quite soft.
massive.
Actually, very recent.
Very recent.
Would you say there's more than one rat living
Oh,
here?
most definitely there's more than one rat.
This here is pickings, isn't it?
Indeed it
And
is, all this
we got-
rubbish.
look at this,
This
look at
is not
this.
helping the situation at all. What they're going to do is they're going to chew open all these bags.
that's what's happened.
And look, there's milk, powder
God.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Oh, yes.
I
Oh,
mean,
my
that's-
goodness.
That's been
Great-
chewed
great
away.
chunks taken out.
It doesn't take a lot to keep a rat satisfied. Just one large doner kebab a day could feed 20 rats.
Now, if you look down, we've got a rat hole down here.
Is it? Look. Yeah.
So what we need to have a look is what's over this fence.
I want to see up there. Can I?
Oh dear.
Oh, my
And if you look
God,
over to your
yes.
left,
Yeah, oh,
there's
my
lots of
God,
lovely little rat
loads of
holes. I think what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to have to go round there and speak to the
Awful,
owners and
isn't
see
it?
if I can get
Yeah.
in there and
Yeah.
have a look.
All right,
So if you
good
wait
luck.
here, I'll
All
go
right,
and
yeah.
go and speak to them.
Tim's not always greeted with open arms by businesses, but this shop was unaware of the rat problem outside and is keen to get it sorted.
We've got a nice rat hole
Oh,
here.
my God. Oh, that's a biggie.
We've got a lovely rat hole here. And under here we have an exposed manhole.
That's horrible.
This should have a proper cover on it.
So will the rats be coming out from there?
Yes, they certainly could jump and leap out of there. We definitely need to take some action in this location.
It's the law to report any rat problem on your land to the council. Any broken manhole cover or a defect in the drain is up to the owner to get fixed. New building work can damage the drain systems. If you're having an extension built onto your house, insist that the drains are capped off properly, or you could have some unwanted visitors. And this area seems to know all about that.
They're so cheeky. They just come out, look at you, and go back.
And we had one set our alarm off, and I thought it was a burglar, and I came up here and was ready to cosh it, and it was a rat.
You see little holes in the corner of the front doors where the rats have been trying to gnaw through and that?
Are you frightened of them?
No.
You're not?
No.
You've got used to them. Oh, kill them.
I wouldn't like to cross you, dear. I'd rather cross a grizzly bear with hemorrhoids as you, dear.
Last year, calls to pest controllers rose nationwide, with a third of cases thought to be because of broken drainage, which seems to be another problem back at the derelict building.
This is a classic drain defect. All this mud shouldn't be in there. That's what we're going to do now is send this little camera down there and we can see what's going on the screen.
Will it record a distance you find the fault?
Yes, it will. So if you look at the screen,
Yes,
see where it's
yeah,
coming
yeah.
up to a join, which you can see just there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So look at all that debris
Look,
that's,
look.
that just shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Generally what will happen is that the rats will gnaw
Yep,
that joint
yep,
and create a small gap and then work their way up to the surface.
So while this building is standing derelict, what are you going to do to keep the rat population down?
We're going to have to keep baiting it until it stops being eaten. And that will deal with this infestation here.
The bait thins the blood, making the rats weaker, and a few days later, exhausted, they die calmly. So it should be problem solved. But killing a rodent with poison isn't always the answer, as it can end up dying anywhere. Just ask the factory where this loaf of bread was made. These creatures are more than pesky pests, though. Rats carry bacteria that can cause eosinophilic meningitis, leptospirosis, or Weil's disease, and in some areas of the world, rats still carry the bacteria that causes plague. So, to protect your home against rats, there are various traps on the market. Kim and Aggie want to rodent test a couple at this infested London warehouse.
We have the traditional trap here, which is a snap trap, which is basically you have a food attractant, which more and more is becoming peanut butter.
So
or
not cheese?
Not cheese, no. They don't like cheese. The trap is then sprung back.
Yes.
And the idea, it's the old snap trap where
Oh, so
it
yeah.
comes down and...
And that would kill it instantly, would it?
It would, yes.
So this is an electrocution trap.
It is, yes. You've got a battery pack that sits in the top. And the way that it works is rodents will walk in through to the front. They have to go in far enough. There's a plate that they then come into contact, and that's how they're taken care of.
But in this building, where would you place those?
Well, rodents will always stay to the edges of buildings. They feel more protected.
If we do end up trapping any rats or mice, how do we dispose of them?
The easiest method is actually just to put them in bags, double bag them, and then just dispose of them normally.
In the bin?
They're put into bins,
Okay,
yes.
you're going to be here to empty them for us?
Well, maybe that's a job that you guys would like to...
No, excuse me. It'll be me. It'll be me. It's always me.
I'm glad you're volunteering.
Come on, Anne. Thank you. Thank you.
A snap trap costs under £5, while the electric shock device is closer to £30. How will they both fare when left overnight? After all that rat research, it's time for action. And the first rule of their anti-litter campaign, get 'em young. They want to show the children how rats could carry germs on their feet from the sewers into their houses. So they've raided the art cupboard.
Now, children, we've brought along a very special guest. This here is Mr. Tumnus, the pet rat.
Gather round. It's going to be a bit of fun.
Come on, everyone.
With the help of Mr. Tumnus and some fluorescent dust, a rat's tracks will be exposed.
Off we go. So when he comes from the sewer, go on. Off he goes. And then he goes across, and you get out of the sewer, cross the road. Yeah, he's looking for your house. Come on, Bobby. Now, he's in your front garden now, you see. Then he goes to your house, and then with a bit of luck, he'll end up in the back garden. He's made it! Yay! He's made it!
Yellow belly now, look.
UV lights here.
Now watch.
See all the places where the rats trailed.
And he's got all filth on his paws from the sewers. The only way you're going to stop it is by being very clean and tidy,
Right.
not leaving food out, not throwing things in the street.
Yeah.
It won't ever stop them permanently, but it'll stop an awful lot of it, and that's what you want.
Okay, so pet rats are good and wild rats are bad. Well done. Thank you. Bye now.
Good start, ladies. But they're about to find out the scale of the problem as they're having cameras put up over the entire city.
Look at that tail. Oh!
And then Kim and Aggie up the ante against their rodent rivals.
Keep your city clean, my love.
Kim and Aggie are out of their usual houses and onto the streets, as London's Tower Hamlets Council want the ladies' help in their fight against rats. They've laid traps, spread their message, and now they've set up cameras to see the evidence for themselves.
Over there. Is that a set of eyes? Oh. Yeah. Oh. Look, they're darting around. They're darting around.
Most bin collections take place in the early part of the day, so by nightfall, nocturnal scavengers have plenty to pick through.
Oh, look. You can see, look at,
Horrible.
Size, the size.
Look at that tail. Oh!
Today, we throw away nearly a third more rubbish than we did in the early 80s. The most recent figures state that in total, UK households throw away over 30 million tonnes of rubbish every year. So, the ladies hatch a plan to clean up the streets. And in typical Kim and Aggie style, they're not doing things by halves.
We've got to help with our rubbish because we've seen lots of them thrown in the streets.
Yes, the rubbish problem is terrible. Rats love to eat vomit. See that top there?
You shouldn't vomit in the streets, should you?
No, I make it to the toilet usually, but you know.
We need you to all help out by not putting your rubbish in the streets. Do you dump any?
Honestly.
Yes. Oh, you've got that. Shame on you, girl. Yes. Do you cause rats? No, I don't.
I have to thank one because you guys are amazing.
Keep your city clean, my love. You know about an island?
Oh, we do, I'm sure. But
Only this one. I've met a few myself, love, don't worry. You girls throw bits in the street like apple cores, bits of banana. Well, who's doing it then?
It's the boy, isn't it?
You didn't throw that in the street, that thing I gave you to do.
I've got it. There you go.
It's a fact. The less rubbish we drop, the less food there is to attract rats. But as the message seems to be getting through, Pest Controller Tim calls with news of another infestation.
So, Tim, what's going on here then?
We have a classic rat infestation. Now, 2 weeks ago, all of this was massively overgrown.
Okay.
This was all cut back.
Yeah.
What we got over here, though, I'm trying to compete with people throwing debris
That's
around.
been dumped there.
That's been
Oh,
dumped
isn't that
there,
awful?
They've walked past and thrown.
Now, just over here, we've got a fantastic little rat hole.
Look!
This hasn't come from the surface. The rat's dug his way out. Because we have that manhole over there, which is another manhole just behind us over there, so that's, it's all linked together.
But the ladies are about to discover a bigger rat hole, and the resulting damage is stomach-churning stuff.
So we'll lift this up and we'll have a look. We're looking for soil and stuff in there.
Well, that's it. Oh, the smell.
Oh, that's partially blocked. Oh.
As the rats have dug out of the drain, the displaced earth has blocked the pipes, so sewage has nowhere to go.
How long would it take for that chamber to fill up?
Well, you can see there's lots and lots of people here, not very long at all.
So these rats have caused a serious health hazard. Now Tim has to discover if they've damaged any other drains.
So here we have some more rat holes.
Look at
Another big rat hole.
Oh my God.
See this little channel here?
Yep.
There's lots of
down
stuff.
there, yep.
The likelihood is there's a break in this pipe, so that's what we want to
That's why
confirm.
the stones are coming down.
Okay.
Right.
This rocket lets off dense smoke, which shows up any holes in the pipework.
Right, come on then.
Oh, look, the
There you
smoke.
go.
Yes.
We know there's a
Oh
break
my
somewhere.
God, look, the smoke coming out that hole.
So all of these
the whole
rat holes,
network.
yeah, there's a network of rat
So we see all their little passages,
Yep,
wouldn't
indeed. So we'll have a look round
we?
further.
Yeah, smashing.
Look. Hang on.
Has the smoke flushed out a rat?
Because they'll head away from the smoke, won't they?
Blink and you'll miss it. But the cleaning queens have at least one rat running scared.
So this is rat paradise, isn't
Oh,
it?
absolutely. Yeah, if I was a rat, I'd love it here.
Yeah, it is. It's
You know,
paradise.
chicken and chips on tap, you know.
But the sun is setting on this rat playground as Tim lays some bait, and the ladies take away the takeaways. With the problem so close to homes, Kim and Aggie want to help people rat-proof their houses. So with a few simple DIY store items, it's back to what they do best.
Now look, I've noticed a big gap under your door. If I can take my finger and put it under your... I can't get it through, right? If I could, a rat could go through there. He makes himself very small. But if I can get a pen under here... Oh, my goodness. You can get a mouse under there. I can't imagine it, can you? Under they go. OK. This is what they call... It's a draft extruder, isn't it, under doors? And all you do is, my love, nail it on. It's not a cure-all. It's a deterrent, and it will work. Don't make it easy for these creatures to get in.
Now, if you look down You can see your grating has actually very large holes, certainly big enough for a rat to get through, no problem. So what we're going to do is, I've got some close woven wire mesh here, just place that to cover the whole of the opening, screw it in place, and that'll keep any rats out.
It's a very good idea.
Now, do you notice there's a hole in this wall?
Never seen
You've
it
never
before.
noticed it? I think the plumbing was probably here years ago. Something's happened here. This is the rat's ladder. He stands on his back as he nibbles. He hasn't got far to go. So I need to take this away. Don't encourage him. And all I'm going to use is wire wool. If I didn't have my gloves on and I rub with it, I get splinters in my fingers. Rats can gnaw through everything. They don't like gnawing through this because it cuts their mouths and puts splinters in it. They don't like that. So this little bit of wire wool is the safest bet to plug this hole. Girls, you can do that, can't you?
Yeah, we can do that.
Girls! While you're at it, check the rest of the house. There'll be one under your bed, dear.
34% of rat problems in residential areas are put down to bird feeders. Always keep bird food high above the ground and clear up any fallen scraps before nightfall. Of course, bins play the biggest part in attracting rats. Controversially, some councils outside city centres are trialling fortnightly bin collections, making your waste management more important than ever.
If you're finding that you haven't got enough bin space and your rubbish is sitting proud of the surface of the bin, then you should think about getting another one, really, because it's just asking for trouble. Similarly, you know, if you cook a chicken and you've got the carcass left over, and say, you know, if you're living in an area where your bins aren't going to be collected for another 12 or 13 days, stick your chicken carcass in here, and then freezing it will stop it from rotting. It's not smelling, it's not attracting any vermin or flies, and everything's safe and you know where you are. Okay?
So after a whirlwind week of meetings, investigations, filming, tips, and a lot of talking, Kim and Aggie hope to be winning the fight against rats. But the question is, have they actually got rid of any? Time to check their traps.
Who's holding the bag?
Double layer plastic. I'll hold the bag, keep my eyes shut, and then you come to empty the tap in.
Oh,
if there is anything.
Oh, you're going to hold the bag?
Yes.
Howdy custard. Let's look at this first one. Oh, God.
Oh, well,
Hang on,
I don't know whether I'm relieved or disappointed. There's
Oh,
nothing
no,
there.
no, it's not. No.
No luck with the traditional snap trap. How about the electric device?
Another one.
Okay, well, first of all,
I've got to turn the button off, haven't I? Hang on.
Anything in?
We've got two dead mice in here.
Okay, right,
We've got two.
right. Hold on,
The
hold on.
torch.
Right.
There's
Oh
two.
my God.
So this device traps rats and mice.
I'm not...
Quick.
Oh, did you hear that? Is that... Hang on. Is that... Get the other way.
Oh my God, you've got another one to go.
Oh, he's stuck on the side. I've got to bang him. Get out, hold on. No, get it. Hold on, my hand, for God's sake. He's in.
Okay, right.
I'm going to reset this and put it back down.
Right, should we run now? I'm off. Well, no rats, but we did get 2 mice, and it was only overnight. Still a result, isn't it?
You were so brave.
Well, success of sorts. But has there been any success back at the rat paradise with a blocked drain?
See what we got.
Oh my God, that's so clean.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, I'll tell you what you...
Magnificent.
That is lovely, isn't
I
it?
describe that right now as ashes of roses.
Well, the blockage was no match for the council power hose, but has Tim got to the root of the rat problem?
Where we've been baiting here,
Oh, look at this.
we've got some good bait take here. Look,
Let's see.
Look, have a look. Go on.
Oh yeah. How many times over, say, the past week have you put bait down there?
3 times.
Really? And each previous time it's all been taken?
It's all been gone. And now, because there's only a little bit gone,
Yes.
I know that these rats are dying.
You just know that from
Yeah,
experience,
absolutely.
yeah.
And the derelict building?
What have you noticed?
look.
What's that? Oh my God! Oh my God!
That's big.
Oh, it's maggots.
Oh, my
God, that's
lord.
amazing.
And I would say he's been here about 5-6 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't take long, does it, for the...
No, it doesn't. I'm spraying that because
what's it?
it's an insecticide, because I just want to kill
Oh, I see,
all the
get rid of
bugs and
it.
stuff.
Oh,
I know.
proving that it's working, isn't it, though, Tim?
What we're doing is, I think, a good job, yeah, absolutely.
Victory to Tim.
Definitely. 1 to Tim, 0 to the rats.
We at Tower Hamlets would just like to say a big thanks to Kim and Aggie for coming to help us with our work to keep the rat numbers down. They've done a great job. We're really pleased. Thanks very much.
We came, we saw, and we conquered.
Well, I think we've got a few rats on the run anyway.
Yeah.
Well, if you think Kim and Aggie would be shot by your house, send us your dirty pictures for the chance to win a great prize. Visit channel4.com/4homes for details. Next tonight, a wife who's too ashamed to strip off for her husband, and bikers endangering their family jewels in embarrassing illnesses.